the Electoral Commission of Namibia to start general voters registration in January. Health Minister bemoans poor workmanship on the upgrading of Okalongo Health Center. 400 water experts to meet in Windhoek from Sunday for the 9th International Water Association Conference. And peace talks between DRC government and M23 rebels suspended again due to renewed tension. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Dominic Mashikele along with sign language interpreter Erika Ushona. We start at State House, where the visiting U.S. and Canadian high-level business delegation held talks with President Hifikepunye Pohamba today. The president informed them of Namibia's efforts to improve its investment environment to attract more local and foreign investors. The U.S. and Canadian business people are exploring investment opportunities in agriculture, information technology, housing, tourism, and mining. They were led to State House by Namibian ambassador to the United States, Martin Anjama.
Entering the hall, the Namibian leader shook hands with each member of the delegation as he welcomed them to the highest office in the land, the State House, and Namibia in general. President Pohamba did not fall short of marketing the country to the business people, saying there were endless opportunities waiting to be tapped as long as that was done for mutual benefit.
We want to be assisted on the basis of a two-way traffic. You assist us, we assist you. It's not just for us to be assisted, and that is that. It's a two-way traffic. In other words, we use sometimes in a win-win situation.
He particularly welcomed investment in housing, saying government was already engaged in a mass housing project to provide shelter to those with no means to acquire decent housing. The president said Namibia was open to investment in all areas, more so as the country could be used as a gateway to the over 200 million consumers in Southern Africa.
We have this over 200 million who can consume any product that you as business people based in Namibia would produce.
He also spoke about the review of the country's investment policy to align it with the latest international trend, saying this, coupled with strong political will and peaceful environment, could make Namibia a favorable investment destination.
I want you to make Namibia your port of entry into this enormous market, meaning Southern Africa. Our government stands ready to support you and to facilitate the realization of your chosen investment projects in Namibia.
United Nations resident representative in Namibia, Musinga Bandora, held talks with Prime Minister Hage Geingob in Windhoek today. The aim was to invite the Premier to an occasion to mark the UN's 68th anniversary. The celebrations will be held in the capital on Thursday. The event will also see Namibia and the UN launching a 4-year partnership framework.
It emerged at the meeting that an agreement on the 4-year partnership framework between Namibia and the UN was signed already on the 22nd of August by the Office of the UN Resident Representative and the National Planning Commission. Musinga Bandora said the partnership would complement Namibia's 4th National Development Plan, NDP4.
Namibia is a child of the United Nations in a way, and this is one of the most successful achievements of the United Nations, having not only managed the United Nations politically, but also ensured that in the transition to independence it played a very central role. So we are happy that Namibia and the United Nations continue to have that close association.
The partnership framework will be launched on Thursday, the 24th of October, which the Prime Minister described as a historic day, being the day when Zambia attained its independence in 1964. He said many Namibians celebrated the day while in exile in Zambia during the liberation struggle. Namibia achieved its independence through a United Nations negotiated peace settlement, the UN Security Council Resolution 435, whose implementation the Premier can still vividly recall.
The biggest operations, about 7,000 at the full length, but not all of them are deployed. That's the biggest and most successful one. And that's how you decided to be successful, was the peacekeeping and peacemaking. But especially now, UN is playing a bigger role. When I see UN transport and the planes, even during our times, we didn't have those kind of things. So you have grown, so congratulations, as you are getting older like me.
The Premier commended the work of the UN in various parts of the world, including in Namibia, through its humanitarian assistance and peacekeeping missions.
The Electoral Commission of Namibia, ECN, has started preparations for the general voters registration. In a statement issued today, the ECN says such preparations are at an advanced stage, with the general registration of voters expected to start from the 15th of January to the 2nd of March next year.
Subsequent to the 4th Delimitation Commission's report, the ECN has said it has already secured new regional and constituency maps of the affected regions and constituencies. The Commission is therefore currently conducting physical visits with technical personnel from the Office of the Surveyor General for the clarification and verification of new boundaries.
The Electoral Commission of Namibia, through its Democracy Building Unit, is finalizing the development of relevant information packages and will soon commence with a nationwide voter education campaign to prepare the nation for the forthcoming general registration of voters.
Its Director of Elections says the ECN will soon commence with a nationwide voter education campaign to prepare the nation for the forthcoming general voters registration. Professor Paul Isaac says the ECN has already completed the identification and selection of the over 4,000 personnel who will carry out the general voters registration.
It is a huge task for us, a challenging one, and we are confident that we will achieve our aims. However, in order to do that, we need the cooperation, especially of those which will register as voters. Therefore, specific voter education will be in place and it will be introduced to the voters, to all eligible Namibians living in the affected regions and constituencies.
In conjunction with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the ECN is also busy making arrangements to ensure that Namibians outside the country are registered at the country's foreign missions. Those working in the sea will also be registered in collaboration with the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources.
The SWAPO party has appointed 2 additional members to its Politburo. They are Central Committee members Sarakuhondula Madira and Helmut Angula. The 2 were appointed during the party's Central Committee meeting in Windhoek yesterday.
The SWAPO Party Politburo initially had 21 members, and with additional 2 members, it will now made up of 23 members. The new members were appointed in accordance with Chapter 3, Article 4 of the party's constitution, and just like others will have full voting rights. The party's Secretary General explains what necessitated the expansion of its Politburo.
The President must always have that flexibility to have additional people he can consider. And I think in this case, you can't question his judgment.
The SWAPO Party Politburo, in accordance with its constitution, has established a disciplinary committee under the office of a Secretary General following the amendment of its constitution early this year. The committee consists of 8 members, chaired by Dr. Ngarikutuke Shiriange, deputized by Libertini Amathila.
It is necessary, and we have all kinds of things. We accuse each other of doing this and doing that. And it's better that we have this mechanism, and we needed it for a long time.
Nangolo Mbumba further told journalists that the Politburo also discussed the drought in the country and noted with satisfaction government's efforts to address the situation amidst logistic challenges. The party structures in the newly demarcated constituencies were also discussed and instructed its operatives in those constituencies to ensure that such structures were up and running by the end of December.
At least 400 water experts and academics from across the world are expected to converge in Windhoek from Sunday for the 9th International Water Association IWA Water Reuse Conference. The conference, another first on the African continent, which coincides with the Adventure Travel World Summit, will investigate the latest technologies in water reuse processes. Windhoek was chosen because of its expertise in water reuse for human consumption through its Goreangab water reclamation plant since the 1960s. The NBC's Jackie Mafuya reports.
The meeting will discuss issues like water reuse for potable and irrigation, desalination, climate change and groundwater recharge. The chairperson of the organizing committee of the Water Reuse Conference, Pete Tupisani of the city of Windhoek, says preparations are well on track. He is grateful for the involvement of the locals and for the financial assistance to host the conference, whose budget is estimated at more than $4 million Namibia.
Even the conference in Barcelona, the previous conference took place in Barcelona in 2011, and they ended up with a deficit on their conference budget. As we speak, we are aiming to, at the very least, break even with our conference, which I really think is a feather in the cap of our local community.
Tupisani says all service providers and products are local companies and businesses. The delegates are from countries like Sudan, South Africa, Uganda, France, the Netherlands and Germany. The delegates will visit the Goreangab reclamation plant, the Gamam's wastewater care works, Windhoek's aquifer recharge and the von Swakopmund water supply schemes.
It is all systems go for the Adventure Travel World Summit. The delegates have already started with their pre-summit adventure tours across the country. The host, Team Destination Namibia, under the Environment and Tourism Minister, Waheka Herunga, says the country has received overwhelming support from fellow African countries and the world for the summit, which is expected to inject over $50 million in the tourism sector.
After bidding with 8 other countries and being shortlisted in the top 3, Namibia eventually won the bid to host the 2013 summit for the first time in Africa since its inception in 2005. As the only African and developing country to have showcased its vast natural landscape during the bidding, Namibia is confident of delivering according to the expectations of the over 700 delegates. With the tourism sector gearing itself to boost income, Team Destination Namibia is confident that all stakeholders would be catered for during the 9 days of adventure. Currently, Namibia's tourism market primarily caters for international tourists, while domestic tourism is still untapped. And with this in mind, this could be the perfect opportunity for its growth and development.
Tourism has the potential to transform our lives for the better. To generate development and generate new job opportunities. It is therefore that we urge all Namibians to welcome the delegates with our usual warm hospitality and work together to help ensure their safety and security.
During each tailored 9-day itinerary, the delegates comprising outbound operators, specialized travel agents and international travel media will meet local operators and ground suppliers in a dedicated marketplace in each destination.
To let the international community to see that we meet the requirements and we are capable, and if you compete with the rest of the world, that you have to show that you are on top of things.
Emerging Tourism Enterprises Association Chairperson Katrina Kanji says this summit deserves to be branded as a local business, and as such, all industries and sectors should capitalize on it.
We are calling upon everybody to receive our guests and to give the best that we can in our hospitality, or everything that is known for African hospitality, our warm welcome from the Namibian nation everywhere they are.
As the most competitive industry in the country, Kanji says local tourism operators are expected to offer high-quality products and impeccable services to the delegates. Blanche Koreses, NBC News, Windhoek.
This is NBC News live from the nation's capital, Windhoek. Still ahead, Lianshulu residents in Zambezi region being terrorized by a crocodile when fetching water from the river. And Works and Transport Minister sues Trasco and Informanti for defamation. Keep watching, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Lianshulu residents in the Zambezi region are living in fear because a crocodile is terrorizing them at the river where they fetch water. The crocodile is reported to have been at the river for almost a month now, poised to attack people and their livestock. A woman was attacked by the same crocodile 3 weeks ago, but miraculously survived.
Last week, Monday, Mavis Rutswenyo went to the river at Lianshulu to wash her clothes and to fish thereafter. But while in the water, she was attacked by the arm. She says after realizing she was hurt, she crawled out of the water to the river banks, while the reptile continued to charge at her.
While I was fishing in the water, I just heard something striking me and I fell under the water and started screaming for help. I managed to get out of the water and those who were with me started hitting it with sticks.
The crocodile also attacked a dog last week, but also survived, although it sustained injuries. On Saturday, our news team went to investigate and spotted the crocodile near the river banks, waiting for prey. Earlier on that day, the crocodile tore to pieces an elderly woman's pillow, which floated into the middle of the river while she was washing her clothes at the same spot. Lianshulu residents believe that the crocodile will soon attack and kill someone if it is not put down now. They say it is haunting a communal spot where they fetch their water, fish and cut reeds from. Their animals also drink water from the same spot. They feel that if the authorities are unwilling to kill it, they should at least relocate it to another area in the same river to ensure their safety.
Works and Transport Minister is suing Trasco and its publisher for $500,000 over a July 2010 article in the Informanti newspaper he says defamed him while he was Mines and Energy Minister. Eric Ngimtina testified in court today that the article titled Ngimtina Hijacks Rural Power Plan to Pamper In-Laws caused him a lot of hurt.
Ngimtina told Judge Collins Parker that in his capacity as Minister of Mines and Energy in 2010, he did not have influence over the electrification of villages because the process had been planned under a master plan long before he became minister. He said his role then was almost the same as in his present portfolio, mainly to propose and defend the budget of the ministry, stressing that rural electrification was decentralized to regional councils. The minister said he had decided to bring a lawsuit against Informanti, which published the article after it allegedly failed to issue an apology to his lawyers when he demanded one in a letter to the newspaper. He said he had never diverted electricity to his mother-in-law's house, which might have resulted in the deprivation of schools and public facilities at the Ndombe and Okanamwandi villages in Omsati region, because he had no influence over the rural electrification program. Former editor Max Hamata and journalist who wrote the article, Faith Sankwasa, said they tried without luck to obtain comments from the minister. They said they took reasonable steps to verify their facts and to afford the minister an opportunity to comment before they decided to publish the article. In a separate court case, the murder and attempted murder cases of 21-year-old Jeffrey Barman was postponed to February next year on the request of a prosecutor, Menensia Hinda. Hinda asked Magistrate Conchita Oliver for time for the PG's decision in the 10th of November 2012 murder of Melanie Bueson and further investigations in last August's attempted murder of Barman's cousin, Albert Duncan. The attempted murder came 2 months after Barman had been released on a $3,000 bail on the 10th of May this year. He remains in custody.
The health minister is disappointed by the poor workmanship by a contractor who was awarded a tender to upgrade the Okalongo Health Center in the Umsati region. Dr. Richard Kamwe, accompanied by Umsati Governor Sophia Shaningwa, inspected the upgrading works at the health center today.
Kamwe, who arrived a happy man at the Okalongo Health Center, was disappointed after detecting the poor workmanship there. The tender was awarded to Haudano Construction and Bricks in 2008, which has delivered substandard work by using poor building materials. And as a result, the health minister, who was set to inaugurate the health center, found shabby and substandard work. The health center was supposed to be upgraded to an acceptable standard to cater for all Okalongo's more than 50,000 residents. Kamwe blamed works inspectors for failing to monitor the upgrading process from the beginning. An incinerator at the health center was the only structure found to have met specified standards.
The person who went to build, to construct that health center, is one of those I would not want to see being associated with this ministry. The roof, it's already big gaps. The material, poor quality, cheap material.
The nurse's home was rated better, but not up to standards. The mortuary does not function as there is no water and electricity supply, while sewage pipes are not covered.
The two ministries, Works and my team, they came together. This week on Friday, they will be meeting at the tender board to look at a new contractor. It will be an issue of adjudication. So once that is done, someone will be sent there.
Staying in the Umsati region, the contractor that was awarded a tender to renovate the Oka House State Hospital has allegedly disappeared without completing the project. The company, Decorative Properties, was awarded a tender of more than $15 million for the work.
The contract was supposed to build a new administration block and to do renovations and alterations to the existing casualty ward and to build a new primary health care and ART clinic, but failed to even complete phase 1 of the project, and his contract was subsequently terminated last year. The tender was awarded to the contractor in 2010, but building materials have been left lying around with an incomplete structure and cracking floor. A new pharmacy and laboratory were also to be part of the new building. This has forced the Oka House State Hospital to outsource its X-ray and round-trip services from the Indilankandi Maternity Clinic, Oshakati and Tsandi State Hospitals since 2010. The Oka House State Hospital needs urgent renovation, being the oldest in the Umsat region.
What do you see here? Work uncompleted, poor workmanship of its highest order.
Yes.
Then you start asking yourself questions. Were they acted? Were they works inspectors or what?
Umsati Governor Sophia Shaningwa called for the culprits to be exposed, arrested, prosecuted and blacklisted.
Can we come back to our senses and start giving good service to our people and to the Republic of Namibia? For that matter, people died. They shed their lives and we lost precious lives. Some people didn't come back to this country just because we wanted this country to be free. And today here you are having some people who are just coming in and mess up the whole system.
Any news from further afield, peace talks between the DRC government and M23 rebels have been suspended again after the United Nations pressed for progress in the troubled negotiations. Both sides announced a halt in the talks taking place in the Ugandan capital Kampala just a few hours after UN envoys warned about the dangers of deal was not agreed soon to end fighting in the volatile east of the country. This report from CFI.
Renewed tension between the Congolese government and the M23 rebels. In Kampala, peace talks were suspended once again. Each side blames the other for blocking the talks. The key problems are amnesty and the integration of the rebels into the regular army.
The government wants to proceed with a selective integration. We don't want that, because this was not our choice. We never asked for integration. But if the government wants us, it should open the doors to everyone. If the government doesn't want us, then it should close the doors to all.
In Kinshasa, the government spokesman maintains his position and refuses pardoning 80 M23 rebels.
When international law excludes from any amnesty war crimes and crimes against humanity, it is no longer the decision of the Congolese government. It's the decision of the civilized world, the international community, the United Nations.
The United States deplores the suspension of the talks, and the United Nations is concerned that on the ground, rebels and government forces are reinforcing their troops around the town of Goma.
Well, stay tuned for the latest sports news and the weather forecast after this commercial break. Welcome back. The MTC Nestor Tobias Boxing Academy will stage yet another boxing bonanza on the 30th of next month at the Ramatex complex in the capital. Paulus The Rock Ambunda will be in action against Nestor Panigua of Argentina, WBO Intercontinental Bantamweight non-title fight.
MTC's Nestor Tobias Boxing Academy chairperson Nestor Tobias announced that Paulus The Rock Ambunda, who lost his title to Japan's Tomoki Kameda early this year, will be in action against Argentinian Panigua before considering a rematch against Kameda hopefully next year.
We do this fight not because we got a lot of money. We know we got a very good sponsor in MTC, but there's also regulation and rules when you promote fight or when you work with a sponsor. So the sponsor gives you the budget, and that's the budget. And all this fight we have to do within our budget.
The event will also see Wilberforce Black Mamba Chihepo in action against Daniel Wanyonyi of Kenya, while Emmanuel Prince Nigeria will exchange blows with a yet-to-be-announced opponent. MTC's Chief Human Capital and Corporate Communications Officer, Tim Kanjo, hailed the boxing fraternity for its successes so far.
It's been a very exciting year. Every time that we think that this is the fight of the year, there's another one that comes up. And that speaks volumes about the quality and the depth that the Nestor Sunshine Academy has in terms of boxers. They put up one fight and they say this is the fight of the year, and then they bring up another boxer and then they say this is the redemption. They call it something else. But we're certainly very happy to be enjoying that luxury in terms of the exciting boxers that is in the MTC Nestor Sunshine Academy.
There will be 5 undercuts to spice up the main bouts, and tickets will go for $100 per person and $500 for the VIPs.
Tomorrow's weather forecast is up next with Albertina Anderson of the Windhoek Met Office.
Good evening, viewers, and thank you once again for joining me on tonight's weather forecast. Temperatures are becoming warmer, hot conditions in the south as well as over the central parts, very hot in the north, about 35 degrees Celsius at Onangwa and 34 degrees Celsius for Katima Malilo. In the south, Keetmanshoop can expect 30 degrees Celsius. The coastline will be cool, about 20 degrees Celsius at Oranienmoed and Walvis Bay, and Rhodes a bit warmer at 22 degrees Celsius. Now for the forecast, elsewhere, mainly partly cloudy and warm weather conditions, hot at Lusaka with a maximum of 30, rainy weather there. Harare can also expect some rain showers, Johannesburg thunder showers with a maximum of 23, and Cape Town will be cool with a maximum of 21 degrees Celsius. Now moving abroad, overcast and rainy at New York and Frankfurt, partly cloudy weather at London, Moscow will be very cold, and Beijing sunny and cool with a maximum of 15. That is your weather. Have a wonderful evening and good night.
Up next, we take a look at some of your comments on the need to introduce sign language interpretation at frontline desks. Your first comment was from Captain Milnae Uyava Muramba, says all frontline staff in the service industry should be able to communicate with the hearing impaired, and he hopes the government will pass a policy to ensure this initiative is implemented by all organizations. Second comment is from Staizo Stephen Pinias, who also agrees that the public should be able to be trained in sign language because those with hearing impairment are also citizens, just like any others, who need to be helped in a way they can understand. And our third and very last comment is from Sislea Nekulu, who disagrees, saying it will be double work for frontline staff, adding that if they have to be trained, then their salaries should also be increased accordingly. That's it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.